Hey, so what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome to another episode of Let's Repair. And here we're going to hopefully repair another PS1, or a PS1 Slim, or a PlayStation Slim, whatever the hell you want to call them. But I featured a few of them on this channel. Now, one of them, right here, I have, this guy works perfectly. End of story. This guy right here, I just did an episode on, and this guy did not have any power, and it ended up being a fuse issue. So what we did was we jumped a fuse, we got it working, we're good to go on that one. This guy right here works, but I'll just show you kind of how it works. So let me at least eject that and boot this thing up right here, and we're going to pay attention to the monitor. And let's see how reliable it is, because there might not be much to show you all. Maybe. There we go. Okay, that's about the best we're going to get. So as you can see, no sound, or sometimes sound comes in it, sometimes it doesn't. This time we didn't hear anything. And it looks like, you know, it looks kind of like an Xbox 360 that's going to be getting the red ring of death here soon. I mean, it's pixelated, of course, you know, added pixelation because the PS1 already is pixelated. It's all fuzzy, the, you know, the screen's jumping everywhere, all that stuff. Well, I looked into it, and first off, let me explain how I was even able to diagnose this, right? Whenever I tried hooking this up through composite, which is like, you know, the normal yellow, white, and red cables, nothing. Nothing came up. I tried this on a friend's TV, because on none of my TVs or monitors or anything worked. I tried on a friend's TV, and I didn't hear anything, but it was just a black screen that was jumping everywhere. Now, here's the thing. This is not one of those. Like, I'm talking about, like, this right here. This is not composite. This is actually this guy right here, which is SCART. And there was somebody on YouTube who had an issue exactly like this, where they were hooking up their PlayStation via SCART, and nobody's really going to try that, because here in the US, SCART was never a common thing. So this is all like new old stuff, right? But what I did was I decided to hook this up through SCART, and normally, you know, as I said, through composite it wouldn't be working, but through SCART it works. It works poorly, but you can at least see the video right there. So the issue that we're seeing here is that the C-Sync should be restored, which I need to get the parts for that. But that essentially means I need to go out and get, I have the wire and everything, I just need to get a resistor and a capacitor, and I can fix it up, so that's what we're going to do here. Now, I'm just going to show you all that this thing does in fact work. Maybe. Possibly. I mean, it showed the PlayStation boot up screen right there, and this thing does in fact like spin up games. You can probably hear it a bit. It does spin up games, it does play them, so the system itself works, but the video output is completely butchered. So what we're going to do is we're going to restore C-Sync on here, and hopefully that fixes it up. Alright everyone, so I am now back, and I actually just took a trip over to a store to go ahead and grab my parts that I need and everything. Now, let me take off my mask here. Sent me back less than $2, which isn't that bad, but I got my capacitors right there, and I got some resistors. The only thing is these resistors are 100 ohm when it asks for 75 ohms, so we'll see how well these work out. I'm not sure how well this will work. Maybe the signal might be dimmer than what we want. But what we're going to do right here is, I don't even need the mask on at the moment, we need to prep the board a little bit. So first off, there is a trace that I need to cut. We're going to have to do this to make sure that we can bypass it properly. So right now, honestly, this PS1 is pretty useless to me. So if I screw it up, no big deal on here, but let's see what all is available. I'm not sure if you'll all be able to see this, so I apologize. Okay, I think I see the trace there. Alright, okay, there, I'm going to have to do it like that. So there's going to be this. I just have to verify it like 5 times. 1, 2. Yep. So it's this guy. It's going to be above. Maybe. Possibly. Let me see. Oh, there's a little bit of dirt there already. For what I see, there's 3 traces there already, which those traces are extremely small, so wish me luck on this. I'm gonna have to go ahead, cut that bit. let me get some stuff to clean this up as well. Okay, so I got my alcohol right here. Let me go ahead, make sure this is gonna be clean enough. So we got it all wet right there. Let me move this to the side, and that should dry up here soon enough. But there we go. Okay. I mean, it's because the trace I'm cutting is so small. It's amazing with that how just one little speck literally can obscure my view on that. So let's try this again. And that looks like it's been cut. But let me see. And there's no other. The way I'm cutting it, I'm not even touching the other traces, which is nice. Okay. I think that's fine. The last time I cut a trace, honestly, was messing with stuff on the 360. So this will be interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let me clean it up again to make sure that it is cut. You see, I'm seeing there, and from what I see, it definitely should be all sliced up. I think we're good on that. I can probably get a few more cuts in there, but either way, I think we're okay on that. Maybe. A little bit. Yep, just got a little bit dirty there. Yeah. It looks like we're well off enough on that, so worst case, if it's not working, we can just go in and we could recut that trace. I think that trace, it doesn't look like it's there anymore. Well, I mean, it is there, but it doesn't look like it's connected at one point, which is fine. So we had to break that on purpose. Now what we're going to need to do is let me get some more alcohol. We're going to have to clean up a few points. First off, we're going to have to clean up this point right here, as that's what I'm going to be soldering. And there's another point that I need to get to. And that's going to be on the bottom of the board, which is pin number 6. And forgot to mention on here, actually that should be fine because I already did that up before. I actually attempted some repair on this where I tried to resolder, well, reflow the joints here for the power, and the same thing for the audio video. That did not work. I tried different audio video cables, that didn't work either, so I should have said that preliminary as well too, but I had some footage that I used on this for, just took it out because it was mostly useless, honestly. But what we're going to do, let's see here. First off, let's go ahead and cut ourselves a little bit of wire. So we're going to need, let's see how much we need. So we're going to go from there, and we can, I mean, this would be more than enough, honestly. So let me go ahead, get our strippers out. We're going to cut this right on. And let me go ahead and strip the wires as well. So there's one wire, well, one side stripped. Let's get to the other side. There we go. Alright, so we got both those done. What I'm going to do right here is now I need to hit them with some flux. So let me get my other Q-tip. And we're going to hit that. So that's the point. And we're also going to need to hit just one of the points here. Let me just hit all those at the bottom. It's going to be one of those at the bottom. I'll look for it later. No biggie on that. But what we're going to need to do now is let me grab my mask, and we're going to start soldering, so this will be the fun part. If I can get the mask on. Actually, it's not even, hold on, it's not even all the way on properly, so. Okay. We got that, and got my tip cleaner right there. This confetti type looking stuff, so we got that. First off, we need to tin this point, which I can't even see right now. There we go. And it looks like we tinned it. And just to make everything easier, let me add some more solder to that point as well. Yep. There we go. We got a nice bit of solder there. Alright. So first off, let's go ahead, hit this thing down here, which maybe I'll be able to get it. Maybe. There we go. Okay, that's probably more solder than what was needed, but we got that, and we're going to have this other to play with, so let me at least just tin that. And there, the wire's all nice and tinned, or at least best we can get it on there. No big deal. And we're going to have to get out one of our first parts, which this is going to be one of the resistors right here. Not, is this a, yep, this is a resistor, okay. Alrighty. We're also going to need to get tape as well, which I have on hand. But we got one of the resistors, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and snip it. So we got that snipped. We got that snipped. If anything goes wrong, honestly, I have multiple others, so no big deal on that. And let's go ahead and get this all soldered up. I think what we could do is, this might be a little bit messy, but we could probably just do something like this, or let me get to the other side when I do that. But never really messed with these before, honestly. I rarely mess with them. I did them on a Super Nintendo before, but that was about it. So if I don't know what I'm doing, it's because I don't really know what I'm doing. I will freely admit that on here. Oh boy. I'm trying to see if there's anything that I could use to hold on to this real quick. Maybe this. I actually need to, hold on, I need to clean this thing off real quick. Which, perfect, that's just right in front of me. Essentially what I could do is just kind of glob that on there. Maybe. I mean, it looks like it's tinned well enough. So we got that. Ooh, hot, 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 hot. Not the best idea I've had. That is still really hot. Okay, let me cool that down for a bit. Oh boy, let me see. That is still hot. Fantastic. Okay, I'll just burn the tips on my hand. No biggie on there. Okay, so what I'm doing right here is I'm just kind of repurposing this part of everything. I'm gonna glomp this on, and hopefully this works. Man. That takes a really long time to melt. That takes an obscenely long time to melt. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's okay. Good solder job? Not really, to be honest, but will it work? Hopefully. That's all we can deal with on there. So I'm not going to touch that for a bit, but what I need to do on this as well too is I need to cut off another piece of wire. I'm going to have that. It's probably, again, bigger than what it needs to be, but no big deal on this. So again, we're going to just strip this back. Let me see here. Got the other one. Alrighty. And we're just going to use this to solder it to the other side, which when I think this is all good, I will tape it up. So we plan to do the exact same thing right here. So let me kind of just use that as my little pedestal if I can. I'm actually going to flip this around here. So again, we're going to do the same thing where I'm just essentially going to get some flux on this. Will that work? Maybe. Okay. And again, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to glomp a bunch of solder on, and hopefully that will do the trick. Ooh, a lot just got on there really easily. You know, I'm seeing on here, the harder I try, the less likely it is to work, so I'm just not going to try that much. But we got that. So now that resistor is done. And let me see what else we need to do here. So we're also going to need to solder this to one of these guys, which is a capacitor. So let me get out the capacitor itself. And kind of just do the same damn thing on here. Where for this, let's see what we can do. I think that should be okay, so let me go ahead and get this taped up. I think my scissors are, yep, my scissors are right behind the camera. So I'm doing here, just getting a bit of tape. And honestly, it might have been easier if I just had this all worked out before, but screw it, we'll just do it this way. And we'll get more tape than what we need, honestly. But I digress. This should be fine. I could use what is it, shrink wrap or anything like that. That's actually what the person who wrote the tutorial, that's what they're using. I'm not going to use shrink wrap because I don't care about this as much, honestly. But well, at least, damn it, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, so it's okay. Go ahead and take this off. If I can. It looks like it's soldered well enough on the other side to the point where it's staying on, so that's good. But let's see. Okay. Let me go ahead, get this pop back on. So we'll do that, maybe. And let's go ahead and resolder this if we can. Annoyances, but this isn't going to be an easy thing to do. I think that might be fine. Don't trust my soldering a whole ton there, but whatever, this will work out. So with that, looks like we're good to go there. We have everything soldered in, even if it's a huge glob. So again, let's go ahead and try the electrical tape. I'm not even going to get as big of a piece. Let's get that. Okay, there. So we have that kind of not wrapped up as tight as blunt, but we have it wrapped up well enough. So there, that's not coming out. That's not coming out. Now we're going to need to work on the other stuff, which my capacitor is right here. So what we need to do is we need to solder this to the positive leg. The negative one is the shorter one. But what we can do is it looks like we can kind of just do the same thing, I guess. Which, does this go in? Yes, it does. Okay, that'll make it a little bit easier for me. So go ahead, just line it up like that. Just use the system again for its own basis. For modification we're going to do to it itself. Let me go ahead, get some on there. And again, we're going to go in and solder this thing. So what I'll do, let me Damn. Let me do that real quick. Go ahead, get all that done. So clean that up. Again, we're just going to glomp this on. I'm going to solder these two together. Again, I need to make sure I'm really not trying as hard as I have to. But I digress. I could have also cut this leg off, but it's fine. That looks like it will stay on well enough. So we have that. Let me tape this up before anything bad happens again. Now again, if you're actually caring about this like long term, or you want this to look pretty or anything like that, don't use electrical tape, use shrink wrap, tubing, and all that stuff. I'm not doing it for this because I don't even know if this is going to work yet. I'm just hoping this will work, really. But let's see here. Okay, that's horrible. That's horrible. That's really bad. But, we'll make it work. God, that looks like trash, honestly. But as long as it's working right now, I don't mind too much. So this is a part of the experiment. I'm gonna need more tape. I also see the thing is I also rarely use electrical tape, so I'm pretty bad at applying it. Let's go ahead, just wrap the rest of this leg up here. That is almost too much. Probably is too much, but we got it. It's snug enough. It's not going to be moving around. So we have that. Now we're going to have to finally flip this over. Just got to flip the board over. Let me get a piece of wire soldered right there. So I might have to actually just flip it again so I could actually use a platform of some kind. I think I will... What's a good way of doing this, actually? Let me see. Might just have to do something crazy, figure something out. Maybe like that, I'm not sure. Either way, I'm going to need to get one more piece of wire, because then we're going to have to solder the negative terminal to pin number 6, which is on the other side. So we're going to get this long enough cable. That's stripped, so both sides are stripped. And again, I'm going to flux this point, and then we're just going to glomp the solder on. First off clean, and then glomp it on. Okay, so like that, that should work out. And let's see. Okay, so we have that soldered on easily enough. We got that. Again, I'm gonna clean off the tip. And what we should do to make sure this all stays on, that should stay on well enough. I'm going to tape the hell out of this thing. And this should be the last time I use electrical tape on this system. But we're going to, I digress, do this. And I might, if this works, I might even go in at one point, probably off camera, and go in and like clean this all up with, what the hell is it, with shrink wrap tubing. Because this doesn't really look pretty, and electrical tape can become undone. It's not really a good permanent thing to use, honestly, but it's all big. It's no big deal, especially when these things are like these systems you can get for 10-20 bucks, so it's not the biggest deal on there. There, we have that on. I mean, it's kind of loose, but we at least have it insulated. And what we're going to do after that is now we can flip it, and I need to look for pin number 6. So with this gooey mess right there, it's somewhere in there. Pin number 1, 2. This one is 6. I found 6. So what we need to do here, let me bring the camera back, or not the camera, the PlayStation back a little bit. There we go. Alright, that was the easy one. That part's done. So essentially, what we did at the end of that was, we can't just go straight from the point on the top of the board to pin 6. We have to have a resistor and we have to have a capacitor with everything. And it looks like we did that. So we went from pin 6, negative, positive on the capacitor, through the resistor, through this part right here. Everything seems to be fine on there, but we don't really know if it's working properly or not. So what I need to do is I need to test this out, which we can tidy it up a little bit, but I'm not going to do that right now at least. Yeah, that point looks cut for sure. Okay. Now what we need to do the ultimate test, which would be making sure this all works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this up to my monitor right here and make sure everything is working. That means I'm going to have to hook up my RGB stuff again and hook up all the other extra stuff. So guys, check this out. This looks messy as all hell, right? Well, I just tried it, and let's go ahead and fire this thing up real quick. I'm gonna look right here. And there we go. As you can see, looks much better than what we were dealing with before. The image is nice and stable. It's not cutting in and out, anything like that. So we're going to go on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of clean that up, make sure it fits in there, and then close it up, and we're going to test it out with the game. Make sure that works. Alright, so now that we have everything kind of here, I'm trying to kind of figure out what the best way of putting this all back in is. So really, first off, you have the case, then you put the motherboard in, then you put the shielding on, and that's really all there is to one of these systems right here. The real trouble is going to be figuring out the best way of putting it in, which I think this should be fine, honestly, because there's going to be enough room and it's going to be flush enough. I think that'll be okay. It's just, if I or anyone ever takes this apart, they'll have to be kind of careful to not cut those wires or anything like that, but we'll just kind of have it sitting there. It's all insulated, so that should be okay. Let me get where's the laser assembly at, man? The only thing is, this will be kind of the final thing to see, is the system working or not, because I kind of bent the ribbon a little bit in a way I didn't like. So for all I know, I could have just killed the laser, which for that, we'll see on here. But let's at least see what's going on. So we'll plug those in right there. And let me pretend to close it up and see if it fits in flush enough. Because it has room. Let's see. Maybe. Possibly. Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll have to kind of squeeze it in, and then once the screws are in, it'll work fine. It is kind of jutting up a little bit, but honestly, that's working. So what we can do is we can plug these back in. It's going to be the AV in and out. It's kind of tough on this one. And I need to find a game real quick. So let me grab Disruptor again. I keep getting Disruptor because it's not that I have a fascination with this game. It's literally, I have a stack of PS1 games right next to me, and this is the first one on the stack. So let's see if it works. And you'll hear if it does. It went to the PlayStation screen. And let me see if it boots up. Okay, it just did all the security checks. Yes, and the game is booting. And it looks beautiful. So honestly, the only way I really deviated off here, because now I can talk about this, because I didn't want to talk about it before and like do this whole thing and then sound like a complete dumbass at the end. I might still sound like a dumbass, honestly, but we'll see. So the guide calls for a, let's see, 200 for the capacitor. It's asking specifically for a 10 volt 220 μF capacitor, right? I did not get a 10 volt. They even said they use a 16 volt. I used a 25 volt. Now, when I went to the store, there was nobody there that knew what I was talking about, but there was one guy who was sitting there. He was a customer. He was just chilling out there. He knew what I was talking about, and he was able to kind of give me a little bit of a crash course thanks to him and the internet. I was able to learn that essentially on a capacitor, the voltage, if you're using, like, for example, if this thing requires a 10 volt thing, you could use a 25 volt. And he was saying that that essentially gives you that extra oomph, like not oomph, but that extra, what can I say? It heightens the ceiling, I guess you could say, on there, and gives you more volts that you can pass through on here. So this PlayStation is never going to pass 25 volts of power into this thing. The mu-F is what's important, but the voltage is fine on there. If it's at least or higher, it's okay from what I know. And then as for the, let's see, the resistors right here, I end up getting these ones, which are half watt 100 ohm resistors. Now the reason why I got these is because it was asking for 75 watts. The guy was telling me, well, not 75, it was asking for 75 ohm, and the guy essentially told me this is where it's going to matter, but maybe, you know, if I put in a 100 ohm, so I put in more resistance than what's required, there might be some issues here and there. So in this case, video quality, I was thinking if I put in a higher ohm resistor, then, you know, the video image might be darker, which is not. The video image actually looks perfect, so 100 works on here. And then again, you could choose between half watt or quarter watt. I got half watts because essentially that is how much power you can push through here. So if I push more than a quarter watt of power, the thing blows up. I can push up to 1/2 watt of power, so that just gives me a little bit more horsepower, as the guy said, and that's why I went with the half watt. And my logic was, if the 100 ohms were too dark, I was going to try and source some 75 ohm ones online, but it looks like these ones are okay. So for less than $2 in parts, I'm more than happy with that. And that was pennies right there, because you could see I got 6 resistors and I used 1, and I got 2 capacitors and I used 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug everything here, screw it back in, and we're going to do some final testing. Alright, so we have the PS1 all reassembled right here. What I do is, again, I'm going to hook this up through RGB SCART. I got the power on deck, and do I have a game in there? No, I do not have a game in there. So I'm going to go ahead, slap in Disruptor yet again, turn the thing on. We're going to see right here if it comes up. And it's looking good. Everything's looking just fine on there. It's all working. Let me move up the PlayStation so you all can kind of see the system just chilling there. And looks like we're good to go on all that. Now, one other thing I was wanting to try was actually composites, because I can hook up my systems through RGB SCART. Many people I know cannot. So the audio seems to be working just fine. That's good. Let me try these cables right here. And I had to hook up my old Elgato for this. Let me go ahead and turn this thing off. This SCART cable is a little bit rough, but I was able to secure it, which is nice. I'm going to have that all plugged in. Let me change the settings on my Elgato right here. So we're going to accept composite. That's fine. Let's turn this thing on and see what happens if we're able to get a signal. It looks like we're getting a signal now. Maybe. What the hell? Okay, it looks like we're just getting all white on here, so this is a partially working system at least. We're able to get the audio out on this, but let's see. Yeah, no, it's just saying out of range on here, so it looks like this system is going to be partially working at least. I could do it through RGB SCART, but composite, it's not going to be that good on. Strange on there. Either way, though, we were at least able to do the C-Sync modification to restore some type of video output, which is good. Not really sure what we could do with composite, so I might just upload this anyways. That's what I'm thinking on this. I might just upload this, and if anybody has any recommendations for what we could do with the composite repair on here, let me know. But at least through RGB SCART, again, we do have proper audio and video output. It's just the thing is, you know, if I ever lend this system out to a friend or anything like that, I am the only person I know in real life that uses RGB, so it's not going to be as easy of a system to work with. Again, let me change this over to HDMI right here. If it pops up, sounds like it should be loading. Yep, and there we go. See, this is all working just fine on here, so that's working as intended. aside from that, not sure what else we can do on here, and I just don't feel like working on this anymore tonight. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone, and if you have any recommendations for this, let me know. As I said, this kind of, I'm going to declare like a half-working system. We at least have it working through RGB, but composite, we're not getting it working properly, so we'll see what's up.